Yeah, so the biggest thing I'd say that it's crazy to think it's been a year already. I remember before we left Richmond last year, I said to the guys specifically, and the girls we talked about it a little bit later, but I said, if we want to be better next year, for the guys, like if we want to come back here and win next year, it doesn't start, this coming summer. It starts tomorrow. Obviously, we still had some of the season left to run, but the reality is that all the days in between, up until we even get to A10s or regionals this year, they all count for something. So I'd say we started this season, a day after last A10 championships, and really kind of focusing on what we could do with a group of people coming back. I mean, the returning group is obviously our biggest advantage, is our core. So obviously Ibrahim coming back off of a really spectacular freshman year, not only just in cross, but carried it over into the track after World Cross Country this past year. So Ebe is back. He's back with a vengeance. He got fourth last year. He obviously wants to be higher than that. Ryan is kind of our go-to steady as you go guy. So he's back to move up again in the conference. I think Luke took a big step last winter and then carried that through the summer this year. So he's looking really good. He's in the spot where he's going to want to be one of our leaders as well. But then we return Anthony, who was 21st 2 years ago. We return Nathan, who last year was his first cross-country season in college. And then we return Matt Bridger. We bring back in Adam Bridger, who redshirted last year. And then Joe Boyle, obviously, who was our number 5 at regionals last year. We have experience coming back, and those are the guys that kind of need to show the way for the freshmen of how we do things. But there's 3 guys that came in that we're really excited about. Liam Rivard and Dylan Service. They had a great summer, and then obviously Tonga is coming all the way from New Zealand, and he represented New Zealand at World Cross with Ebe last March. So those guys can be a really big factor for us. The nice thing is they don't necessarily have to be. The pressure isn't on them to show up and do something special, kind of like Ebe did last year, or like Luke and Ryan did the year before that. We're finally at a point where our leadership is so that it's upperclassmen. So the freshmen have the ability to go out there and train really hard and learn from the upperclassmen, and when it comes time to race, they have just as much of a chance as any of our other guys to go out there and show what they're made of. I kind of feel like a broken record when we're talking about Grace. It's kind of the same thing over and over again, as far as she progresses season by season, year by year, and she's a really good example of starting at one point and gradually chipping away at what you want to do. So this summer was kind of no different. She carried over what she did outdoors and rolled it into the summer and came back in really great shape. And I think the biggest wave of that is the effect it has on the rest of the girls on the team, who can actually look tangibly at a girl who was, I think, 79th her freshman year in the A10, and then the next year was 10th, and then this past year was 6th, but qualified for NCAAs a week later. So you can see that progression. You can see that if you really put the time in, put the effort in, and trust in our system, that you can improve, and you can improve a great deal. It doesn't really matter where you start from. Brian's been saying a better destination. The destination is really what you're working towards. So it doesn't necessarily matter where we started from, as long as we're all kind of moving in the same direction, which is forward. So she's had a real big ripple effect on the rest of the girls, but for her specifically, this is her senior year, and she has some really big goals lined up, and she has done all the work necessary so far to have a shot and achieve those goals. Yeah, so the women's squad is going to be pretty interesting this year. I think obviously Liz Mancini's coming off of a really great indoor and outdoor season, her freshman year in total actually, and she was 14th last year as a true freshman on probably arguably not the best summer of training she's ever had. She had a great summer as well, and she's in a really good position. Obviously, she has some big goals as well. She wants to keep up with Big Sister. So Liz is going to be a big piece for us, and then she's obviously one of the returners. But then we have Eleanor, who had a good spring last year. We have Lexi Shortino, who had a good spring last year. We have Dee Dee Gilmore, who had a good spring last year. There's all these common traits that kind of keep reoccurring. I think like I said, that wave of watching Grace progress season by season has really had a strong effect on the girls on the team, seeing that it really truly is about her work ethic, and for them specifically too, it's going to be about their work ethic as well. So I think we have a really interesting group of returners coming back that obviously we're counting on to be a major part of our scoring five. But then we bring in some newcomers who can shake things up again, just like last year. You bring in Eleanor and Elizabeth, and I think at regionals, the Grace, Liz, and Elle were our 1, 2, 3. So Liz and Elle had a really big part on our success last year as freshmen, and probably similarly this year. We have a good group of freshman girls. We have obviously the fourth Mancini, Christine. We have Amy Comboy and Jericho Lafrano, who probably have had the most success of that class in cross country. And then we round that out with some good middle distance, a good middle distance recruit in Sammy Miller, who's dabbled in cross as well. And then Maeve and Jenna coming from North Penn. Yeah, I think the biggest thing to recognize is that externally, the expectation might be there for us to win this year, and it may seem like that's the first time that's happened, but internally our expectation has been to win the last 2 years. So for us, it's kind of no different. We still went away in the summer, and we still did our miles. There's a team that won a national championship the last couple of years on the men's side, and one of their coaches, when asked, okay, how do you keep your team motivated when you guys keep winning? He says, we just do the same thing we always do. We chop wood and carry water. It's just one of those real basic things. So I think if there's anything we can take from preseason polls, is that we can look at the last 2 years of preseason polls and realize that they didn't mean anything to us. They didn't stop us from losing by 3 points when we were picked fourth last year. And us being picked first is not going to magically give us a trophy. So we're still going to have to work our butts off day in and day out. I think the biggest thing is just to kind of put those polls to the side and put what people think of us to the side and just focus on one day at a time. And as long as we can accumulate the days that we need or the days that we have until November 2nd, then we're going to be okay when we step on the line. So again, it's maturity, and I think it's just focus on ourselves rather than focus on what the rest of the conference is doing. We can't control what they're doing. We can only control what we're doing.